let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Good morning. Those of you viewing us via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning to you also and welcome. Those of you via social media platforms, good morning. Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. Welcome to this edition of To The Point. Let me say good morning to my guest this morning, representing the, of course, opposition. Here is Opposition Tuesday here on To The Point. Let me say good morning to the MP representing the tongue of St. George, the Honorable Peter David. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to The Point, sir.
Morning, my dear brother. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Good to see you. River Road man in the house with me this morning. Thank you for having me, and welcome and good morning to everybody.
Yeah, it's certainly a pleasure to have you, sir. There's always been that call to have you on the program, and I'm certainly happy that you make the decision to be here this morning, and certainly welcome. So how you doing? How you doing in general?
Good. You know, now that I'm back in private practice, back in the courts, I am doing what I always did in the courts, representing persons, from all over Grenada, and it's what I've been doing for 30 years. So it's quite comfortable being back. At the same time, I'm still politically very much engaged, not only in the town of St. George, all over Grenada. So I'm doing what I always did for the last 50 years.
And that's good. That's good. Yeah, and you say 50 years, it sounds like just like that, huh?
Yeah, well, for me, it's my life.
All right, man. Now let's kick the conversation off this morning. You being the de facto representative for the tongue of St. George, constituency. Are you satisfied with the level of representation, or in what areas you would say would you like to tackle? You of course in the part of if you were sort of form the next government. What?
Yes, for me, first of all, let me thank the people for the town of St. George for their support. I won the seat twice with the NMP, twice with the NDC, so it means that there is a level of support for me that crosses party lines, and I really want to thank the people at the town of St. George. They have been very, very good to me. I have done a lot, and they have done a lot in order to help me do a lot. Yes. And the big thing for me in the town of St. George now, if there's anything I would want to focus on, is entrepreneurial spirit of young people. I think we've built roads. We have the river project going. I hope the government would finish that river rehabilitation project. It's a big project, multi-million-dollar project. We have the stadium, we have the ports. There's a lot more to be done with infrastructure. Two things that concern me. One is the old buildings in the town and the historic nature of the town, and to get places like the York House and other buildings that are in a bad condition up and running. I've always said that I believe the York House should be turned into the public library and an archives, and on the ground floor to have an exhibition place for people who do art in Grenada. And our artists need a place to display, and I believe downstairs York House can do it, and upstairs we can do the public archives and the public library. The other thing is the youth in the town of St. George and entrepreneurship. I had a meeting recently with several youth, many of them from the town of St. George, and the one thing I heard, we need to find a way to establish businesses. Young people are very much concerned about establishing their own businesses as entrepreneurs, and I think we need to find more ways to get that done. When we were in government before, we had several programs, the Empower program, several programs that Sister Kate Lewis always speaks about. I think we need to find a way to get back these programs, but also enhance these programs so they can move from training to actual business persons in the town of St. George, in addition to taking care of our elderly, taking care of the people who have done so much for us, taking care of, and I want to welcome, for example, in River Road, we have the new organization, the Legends, the looking after, recognizing people like Papi Tete, and I want to commend them. People like Miss Lacrette and Mr. Lacroix, who are doing quite a bit now to do that. So I love the town of St. George. I was born in the town of St. George, bred in the town of St. George. There's a lot to be done.
Critics may say, you've been part of the past administration, won your seat twice, and of course being part with the National Democratic Congress, being with the NMP, and you speak about some of the issues that you see that should have been taken care of. Why wasn't it actually taken care of?
Because everything can be taken care of. When a government comes in, there's more to be done. There is always more to be done. There were issues with the port.
Yeah.
We have a new port. There are issues with the river. The river is being built. There were issues with the old playing field. There's a stadium. There are programs. There is always work to be done. No government can complete anything because there's nothing called complete. Yeah. The history of man is a history of struggle against nature to make a better life for you and your generations to come. So yes, NDC has done a lot.
Yes.
But there's always more to be done. I have done a lot. There's always more to be done. Housing. A lot has been done for housing. There are many people now who have houses who didn't have before. Land. There are many people who have land now who didn't have before. That was done because of programs by previous governments. We always have to keep looking for. There is never an end to what needs to be done.
All right. You mentioned it, and I'll ask you a question in reference to, we talking about the National Stadium, or stadium per se, both of them, within your particular constituency. Do you think adequate use has been made of it? What are some of the recommendations you would like to put in to see?
The stadium is, of course, again, we have cricket now. We had World Cup cricket coming to Grenada. We have football coming to Grenada. We have soccer. I want to commend the GFA and all the organizations who have been involved in that, and they're doing a lot. They use also the stadium for entertainment. The stadium is used for programs in the facilities of the stadium. There's much more that can be done. I do not have specific recommendations as to what could be done. But for example, using the stadium to enhance youth sports, bringing youth from all over the country all the time in the stadium to enhance youth sports is something we can look at. But there's a lot to be done. I'm sure GFA and these institutions will be working toward that.
The carnage, the traffic situation, the nightmare for the motorists, especially in the peak morning periods and so forth. Do you have any solution that you would like to? I mean,
transportation. You hit. I welcomed comments last week by the government, by the Prime Minister, with respect to doing a study of transportation. Somebody told me 160 cars came into the country a week or two ago, and it means there are 160 cars moving up and down. Yeah. The city is jammed, because the city is where most people come to all the time. Now, South, Grand Anse is having a similar problem. You go to Grand Anse, tongue is one thing. You go to Grand Anse on a typical afternoon. If you go on a Friday afternoon, it's doubly worse. It's
any time of the day. Any time of the day, matter of fact.
I believe the solution, part of the solution, is an adequate public transport system. A public transport system that is reliable, dependable, and safe. And if we do that, we'll have less people, because these days, you can go to a dance and believe I have a lot of people inside because you see plenty cars. Yeah. But a husband leaving the house with a car and a wife leaving the house with a car, 2 cars going with 1 person each. We need to address the issue of public transportation and the issue of transportation. Transportation is not just about cars getting from A to B. It's about people getting from their jobs to their home, getting there safe. I heard the trade union speak this weekend, last week, about during the May Day rally, about the need to get workers moving at night. And the fact is, if you get a proper transport system that is running 24 hours, certainly you'll have more economic activity. Look at places like Trinidad. Yeah. Economic activity, because people are moving. For people to go shopping, they have to be able to move, but they have to be able to find reliable transportation.
All right, great. Folks, we drew for a break. Let's take our first break. We're coming right back. We have, of course, the MP representing the tongue of St. George with us this morning, Honorable Peter David. We take a short break. We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us. Don't touch your dial.
Sunshine Promotions is rolling out the red carpet for all mothers. It's a night of love. Saturday, May 11th at the dazzling Radisson Crown Ballroom. The celebration kicks off at 8 p.m. with the show starting at 9 p.m. Promising a night filled with joy, music, and appreciation. Prepare to be swept off your feet with performances from the legendary Mikey Spice. Mikey Spice. The dynamic Lion Paw, the sensational Valine, and the soulful Laura Lisa. It's a lineup that promises an unforgettable night. Get your limited early bird tickets for just $100 EC and ensure you're part of this grand salute to mothers. Tickets available at Giddens Pharmacy in St. George's, Wall Street, Wharf and Grenville, Chucky's Bar, Cass Unisex Boutique, Quick Stop, Pierre's Barbershop in Victoria, Calico Shopping Center in Sates, Rena Mills in Carriacou, Crown Collection, Health Plus Pharmacy Grenville, Heather's Boutique, and GoToFed.com. Stay connected with Sunshine Promotions on Facebook and Instagram for all details. It's a night of love, Saturday, May 11th at the Radisson Crown Ballroom.
Coming up, Barbados is heating up with enhanced attractions and hotel properties. World Cup cricket's touching down in the Caribbean. And Trinidad and Tobago is ready in the food department. A year's worth of beaches and more. We're talking about the Antigua and Barbuda experience. The rising stars of the track and the pool. Caribbean Village cricket. There's endless action on and off the field. It's all next on this station.
I want to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back, MP Honorable Peter David. Welcome back to the point this morning. Let's continue our conversation this morning. Now, your history has been checked, and an exciting one. But let's deal with the elephant in the room right now. The question on everyone's lip is, would you like to be leading the new national party in the next general election? Let
me say this to you regarding my political history. My political history is clear. I am maybe the most known or one of the most known entities. When I say known, they know everything about me. There are no secrets. I used to be involved in the revolution. Everybody knows that. I came back. The NDC invited me. I joined the NDC. I was expelled from the NDC. I was approached by Dr. Mitchell to join the NNP, and I've joined the NNP. And for all those years, I've never disrespected any of the leaders and disrespected anybody in any of the parties. And I have worked hard. I mean, I've been Minister of Tourism, Minister of Labour, Minister of Agriculture, Minister for Foreign Affairs. I have worked hard and delivered. I mean, many of the hotel projects that are now on the way, some of them that recently opened, I was intimately involved in getting them here. In agriculture, I did best I could. In Labour, I did best I could. In Foreign Affairs, many of the initiatives with respect to, things in Africa, in Morocco, in the region. So my history and my participation in politics is well known to everybody. And of course, there are people who support me and people who may not like some things I do. And that is par for the course. That is acceptable. I have indicated to the NNP executive, I wrote a letter to them indicating my interest.
Yeah.
It is not as if I'm doing something subversive. I've indicated my interest, and my interest was based on the fact that Dr. Mitchell indicated that he's leaving, and he said when he was leaving, he said he was not going to participate in the next convention, and I had no difficulty with that. In fact, I think Dr. Mitchell has served this country well. If you look at the history of Grenada, Mr. Eric Gary was for his era, the era of anti-colonialism, the era of the independence movements. Eric Gary served us well, and we got us to independence. Then came revolution. Maurice, leader of the revolution, loved today by many people for a lot of what he's done. Grenada loves Maurice as they loved Gary. And then we have Dr. Mitchell, who came in for his era and did a fantastic job in his era. Infrastructure development, a whole group of young businessmen have become businessmen because of Dr. Mitchell training, education, many of the institutions we see around. I mean, the country is littered with projects and engagements that Dr. Mitchell must be praised for. Of course, the further away you go from an event, the more praise you would get. So while we may get criticism now, while he may get criticism, history will record his many, many achievements.
Yes.
And now we have a different era coming up. I have indicated to the party that I will put my name at the convention for leadership of the party. That was done nearly a year ago. In fact, since August 3rd last year, that was done. And I wrote a letter. I also met with Dr. Mitchell. We've been having these conversations within the party. It's nothing new, nothing strange. And I think I did what I believe is the respectful thing by indicating it formally by way of a letter. I'm sure there are persons who have possession of the letter that they can make available. So yes, I have indicated it. I intend to put my name up at the convention with all the respect in the world for Dr. Mitchell, who has done an excellent job, but who has said, and said it categorically, that he will not be putting himself up at the next convention. We don't know what the next convention is. It is overdue, which means that I have to prepare for that convention by making myself available to people who want to drill me and ask me what I stand for if they intend to support me.
The convention is a topical issue, Honorable MP. Your take on, of course, on the delay of it not happening. Why? What's your take?
Well, you know, the chairman of the party indicated earlier in the year that it will be this year. I think the general secretary has also indicated that. Those are persons senior to me in the party, so I take them at their word. The convention is overdue. It's beyond 2 years. We're heading into the third year without a convention. I think that may be the result of the effect of loss. You know, loss has a traumatic effect sometimes on not only on individuals but on institutions. But I think what I'm seeing is an intention to have a convention soon. I think the delays were unfortunate. I think it was not in the best interest of the party. But certainly, I am hopeful and optimistic that all of the leaders of the party are seeing the need for the convention, because at the end of the day, the convention is the highest organ of the party. It's the highest organ of the party. It's an organ that creates the executive. It creates all of the executive positions. And if you're not going to respect the mother of all the institutions, then the party will have a problem. But I'm optimistic. I'm not sitting here banging anybody for it, criticizing anybody. We as a party, it is a party's responsibility to ensure that the Constitution is adhered to, which means we need to have conventions soonest.
We heard, of course, the leader of the New National Party, Honorable Dr. Mitchell, speak about the rebuilding process of the New National Party as it stands right now. Your take on the New National Party, heading into, if there's tomorrow morning we hear a convention is held, whoever becomes the new leader of the party, your take in terms of the stance, the position of the New National Party right now?
You know, I believe the New National Party represents working people in this country. You know, I actually believe this is not coming into a party to win power. I believe the party really seeks the interest of working people. Yeah. I believe that we can build the NNP as an institution. You know, for example, we're out of office. If the institution is properly structured, we can still be doing things to take care of our members. Many of our members found themselves without jobs. This government has laid off many members of the NNP. We need to find ways to help them. So while we rebuild the structure of the party, we must also strengthen the institutions of the party. So, for example, the welfare department, who's been doing a fantastic job there. People like Edith McDonald and so who are doing a fantastic job, and Marcella and so on doing a fantastic job in helping people. But we must do more. So the institution, you know, for example, we need to ensure that the young people in the party, that the youth arm of the party, scholarships for these young people, the women of the party, to make sure that their families are okay, their kids. In other words, the party must not only be a vehicle for winning elections, it must be a vehicle where its members are seen as important, and we take care of the members, not disregarding other people in the communities, but as a party itself. Apart from doing the work generally in the communities, we make sure that the members of the party and the party as an institution takes care of these persons within the party.
I want to get a little depth. What is your relationship with Dr. Mitchell and the executive of the New National Party?
We have a good relationship.
How great is that relationship?
We have a good relationship. Dr. Mitchell, I have absolute respect for Dr. Mitchell. We don't agree on everything, of course. I mean, if you agree with somebody on everything, somebody's not speaking the truth. We disagree on some stuff. But I told Dr. Mitchell when I came into the party, I remember when we spoke the first time, I said, Dr. Mitchell, let me tell you something. I am the kind of person who will speak truth to power. I have learned over my 50 years of involvement in politics, the best way I can be a good friend to any politician or any person is to tell him how I feel. So, of course, he may not agree with me, disagree with me fundamentally on some issues. But we both have respect for each other. We both recognize each other's achievements over the years. We both recognize that we have done a lot for working people, and we have a very good relationship. Now, we are not friends. I'm not his generation, so we don't go to parties together. We don't hang out together. But certainly respectful.
Yes.
Is the way I would characterize my relationship with Dr. Mitchell, and I hope going forward in all of what we're doing, we maintain that respect for each other, even if he disagrees with some decisions I may take.
Agreeable, so. Of course, MP, we drew for a break in this segment once again. Let's take it. We come back. Still lots of questions for you folks, for you, sir. And when we come back, stay with us.
Prescription failed, or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your...
In honor of the Grenada 50th Independence, the Royal Grenada Police Force Band presents the second annual Mother's Night Out. Mother's Night Out. The concerts all going down on Sunday, May 12th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Featuring live from TNT. It's crazy.
Time to come, America will have a black president.
John King.
How many more?
June Lodge. Together with the Hitman Inspector, Valine Ned, Samantha Dixon, Alex Phillip, Shane, Innocent, General PP, Kareem, Alexis, Ron Barry, the African Man, and much more. Dress code elegant. It's Mother's Night Out, the Grenada Trade Center from 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 12th. Lots of giveaways and prizes to be won. Champagne and roses on entry. You don't want to miss this amazing experience for mothers. Your tickets only $70 and are available from Gittins Pharmacy in Grand Dance and Grenville, Grenadian Optical, the Police Bandhouse, Police Canteen. Make this a date for mothers.
No, that's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First,
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Good morning to those of you via social media platforms. Welcome back. MP Peter David. Welcome back, sir. Let's continue our conversation this morning. A question that I want to ask you, sir. Now, the Caribbean is preparing itself for the industrial use, I should say, of marijuana. Where do you stand on the subject, and how can Grenada best prepare itself in the eventuality that we get to that point?
Well, the Commission, the Caribbean Commission, has stated clearly that we should move toward decriminalization.
Yes.
And some countries are thinking of legalization. But it is clear that most of the countries, if not all of the countries, particularly in the OECS, have chosen to go down the road of decriminalization.
All right.
And the issue of decriminalization is one that we raised when we were in government. In fact, there is legislation in the Parliament, was placed in Parliament with a small amount of cannabis to be decriminalized. Unfortunately, this government promised in their campaign, wanting to go further than we went, to legalize cannabis, and we said to them that that would be impossible. Now it is proven difficult, and young people are saying, well, what about the promise? You go to court and they're becoming stricter with cannabis rather than in the other direction that they indicated. And I believe that we need to have a deep discussion about it. So, because while I agree on decriminalization, we must be cognizant of the fact that there are people who have cannabis has a negative impact on them.
Yes.
I have friends who have suffered because of excessive use of cannabis. So while there is a question of decriminalization, because it is felt that the war on drugs is not working, we must be careful in doing it. We have had consultations with the Catholic Church, with the Conference of Churches. We've had consultations with the Rastafarian movement, and now the government is talking more about the commercial use of cannabis. I believe that they overpromised. I believe that they made a promise to young people of Grenada based on what they thought was a vote getter, rather than doing the right thing. And now they're caught in a bind as to how to proceed, knowing full well that the legalization is an issue. Because, for example, if you legalize, how will somebody who is planting marijuana get their money into the bank? The bank will not accept any funds from a Class A drug, because remember, the banks are linked to other banks throughout the world. So it is a difficult proposition. And sometimes in political campaigns, we simplify things to attract votes. And then when we get into office, we find it's not easy to implement. And that comes because of lack of experience, which is a thing that I believe is affecting this government in a serious way. Lack of experience over the years, and failure to listen to people who have had the experience and are willing to advise.
Tell me, sir, looking back 50 years, has Grenada progressed, and any noticeable areas you would like to speak of?
Which one is that?
I was asking, in the last 50 years, has Grenada progressed in any way? Yes, and would you say, in which noticeable area would you say we have progressed in?
I believe we've progressed in education. I believe that there are more persons now graduating with university degrees, more professionals out there as a result. If you go to the hospitals, it's locals. Long ago, you used to see many persons from outside. We still have some Cubans free assistance program. There are many Grenadians who are studying abroad. So I think education is one of the areas we are doing very well in the region in terms of our performance in many of these academic areas. So I think that is one. In sports, we have advanced in sports. We have persons now running the World Cup and getting medals, including gold medals at the World Cup. So there are several areas where you have progressed. Now, Grenada is progressing. The question is, are we progressing fast enough? Maybe there may be doubts about that, but there is no doubt that over the years, inclusive of the period with the NNP, that substantial progress was made. Infrastructure, pipe-borne water, electricity, all of these things over the last 50 years have come. The international airport has come over the last 50 years. We have made progress. Hotels have increased exponentially over the last 50 years. So we've made much progress, but there is always more progress to be made.
There's a topical concern on in the nation that I would like to hear your take on. The bill which seeks to of course deal with gun reform has recently been tabled and passed in the House. Are there any questions in your mind about the bill and its adequacy to curb the mountain, should I say, incidents of gun crimes? We heard what's been happening recently. Let's hear your take on that in terms of the bill and
you mean the amnesty?
The amnesty one.
I said that the amnesty, I do not believe that the amnesty will work, simply because there is no incentive to persons to bring in the guns. So, for example, in some countries like the United States, they have what they call buyback programs. In New York, that happens every week. You hear about the buyback programs. But in our case, we are simply saying to persons, bring in your gun. Now, somebody who pays $3,000 for an illegal gun is not going to just give it to the government because they wake up this morning and decide they want to give it in. They will prefer to sell it to somebody else to recover their money if they don't want to keep it anymore. So I think we need to do more. I think the communities, I think the churches, I want to commend the Bar Association. My good friend, the president of the bar, my brother Francis Paul, and people like Ruggles Ferguson, they are in the process of developing an initiative where the Bar Association gets involved with young people, because the guns don't shoot themselves. It's the guns being held by young people, and we must trace the problem to the young people. What is it that has happened over the last several years. You know, we had guns in Grenada during the revolution. We had guns, but guns were never used in crime in a post-83 period. All the guns were sold to Trinidad, they were sold to St. Vincent, they were sold all over. We never kept guns. Recently, there has been an increase in gun crime. We need to find what is the cause of it. And I believe it's young people and alienation among young people. So the Bar Association, I myself met with several young people in the town of St. George. I deal with these young people every day. And I believe that the way to solve the problem is to speak to the people who are handling the guns, in addition to sourcing these guns. These people who have these guns can't import the guns into the country. Guns is big business. You see what's happening in the U.S., it's big business. I am sure there are people bringing in guns as a business. So I think the amnesty, I welcomed it because it raises the profile of the issue of guns and gun crime. But I think we need to do more than an amnesty. We need to dig deeper and get into the communities and all the institutions, the churches, the community groups. I welcome the Bar Association, the members of Parliament must all get involved, but mostly we must talk to the youth who have these guns to find out what are the problems. And I believe that part of it is the dismantling of many of the programs that were there for training of young people. I spoke earlier about entrepreneurship. I had a meeting, as I said, recently with the youth, and they want to establish businesses. The youth want to improve their lives. They see their mother and father working hard, and they don't see it happening, so they go outside and get it the way they see it in the movies. So I think it is a good thing for the amnesty, but it's not sufficient.
Crime in general in Grenada, we have seen that's a bit of a spiral over the last couple of months that's becoming a cause for concern. You being an MP in Parliament and so forth, of course we understand the gun amnesty and all of that has been implemented. What more could be done to really get that downward trend? I've noticed Grenada has always been a peaceful country, sir. And you know, sometimes, yes, some may say Grenada we don't really have a crime problem in terms of what we see happening, but it's whatever is happening is always seems to be a cause for concern. We'll prefer to wake up in the morning and don't hear anything happening as it used to be. Your take on
you know, I went to the State Department. I visited the State Department. I was Minister for Foreign Affairs many years ago. I can't remember which government I used to be at the time. And I said to the State Department, we need to do a study on why crime is so low in Grenada when we are so close to Trinidad, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and crime is high. Why is it so low? Because if we don't understand why it is that low, we may never understand it, why we lose it.
Yes.
And that is what is happening now. We need to understand what it is that we had that we no longer have that is causing this. And I believe we need to look at the issue of young people and their alienation, as I said a minute ago. We need to find out what it is. When you go to these blocks and these areas and you speak to the young people, they could be your son or my son. But they're just in an environment and in conditions where that seems to be the attraction. You look at, some people blame Facebook, some people blame social media, some people blame the movies. I am not sure it's any one of those, but a combination of all of them. But we need to call some kind of session together to have a study into that. I find it in my sphere where I operate. I call the young people, I talk to them, what do they want to do? They don't want to be a plumber, they want to be a doctor, they want to be and we try to give them the pathway, a visible pathway that they can see something. But when there's despondency, when people are not seeing a path, then it becomes difficult for them to have any kinds of ambition. So I believe we need to have a national discussion, but at the same time, we in our small areas need to do it as much as we can.
The engagement of young people in general. Do you think young people in general are adequately engaged in this area now?
I don't think so. I mean, there are young people in government, but are the young people engaging the young people in the communities to find paths for them? Or are they just involved in being in government? Do they have the experience to understand how young people get from where they were to where they are? I don't think so. I don't believe that the young people feel that they have a say, despite the fact that you have young people in government. And certainly that will be an attraction to some young people. They see somebody young being prime minister, being a minister of government. At the same time, it needs a deeper engagement than that. Not only a visual where you see a young person, but they need to see their path, their roadmap for having that better life. And they're not seeing that because they're not feeling it. They're not feeling these programs in the communities the way we used to see it.
Tell me, there's another question I want to ask, and of course, slightly off the topic we just into. Now, there clearly is a need for constitutional reform in Grenada, sir. What's your thoughts on Grenada? Is Grenadians ready for reform, you would say?
Constitutional reform?
Yes.
I believe we've always been ready. I believe it's the politicians who stopped us having it, actually. I think there's a clear recognition that we need to move from the Privy Council to a Caribbean Court of Justice. There's a clear recognition that we need to put Grenada, Caribbean, Petit Martinique on our passport. There's a clear recognition that we need term limits. There's a clear recognition that we need to establish a republic. Yeah. The question is, do we have the political maturity to come together to do something? I think the bigger issue is the divisiveness in our political discourse. I remember one politician in Parliament saying quite I mean, she said it as if it was, we agree with all that is said in the constitution reform proposals that were made several years ago, but not under Dr. Mitchell. Meaning that they agree, but they will do it if he is not the Prime Minister. If they were the Prime Minister, they would do it. In other words, recognizing the need for it. For example, I heard Mr. Tevin from Carriacou, the MP for Carriacou, say, we need to put Carriacou on the passport. And then he checked himself, he realized, listen, man, I just rejected that a couple of years ago. The thing about electoral reform. People saying, we need to reform the electoral system. Well, we just had a constitutional reform proposal. I believe it should be brought back on the table. I believe that we need constitutional reform, not only on the issues that were raised in the last attempts, yes, but we should find ways, new and progressive ways, to bring our country together outside of the election period. We can fight during the election period, but we need to ensure that our people are unified, because the truth is, we have more in common than what separates us as people. Okay.
So another question before the break. I want to get your take on that. Where in the political arena do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years, I hope I'll be right here. I mean, sometimes I float to the idea of being on a farm somewhere. But no, quite frankly, my entire life has been about grounding with people and trying to make progressive change. If you look at the trajectory of my life, it has always been that. And I hope till the end of my time that I will be doing that. Of course, not necessarily as an MP, not necessarily as a leader of the NNP, not necessarily as a politician, but I do expect that my entire life will be this, because quite frankly, this is what I do. So over the next couple of months, I will be putting forward my name for leadership of the NNP, and I hope that I have all expectation that it will work out. After that, we will move towards building the institution with NNP, hopefully, as I said earlier, to build it into a proper party institution, not just a vehicle to get into office. And then after that, get a programmatic platform in place to build the country. We have a national development plan. We need to get the people more engaged in that. We need to look to see how we get agriculture going. Agriculture, everybody talks about it a lot, but we need to get it going. We need to engage people in that. But importantly, on the path forward, we need to bring people together. And I believe that I'm in a good position to do that. I've been in NMP, I've been in NDC. I believe I'm in a good position to bring people together under an umbrella of development, because quite frankly, we have a lot of potential in Grenada. What we do not have is a clear vision as to where we want to take this place. And I believe we have some brilliant minds. We have some people who have studied development. You have people who have lived these processes, and we need to bring them together, to sit together, to chart the way forward for this country. I am absolutely optimistic about the possibilities in this country. And I believe the way to do it, though, is to bring all capable people on board. I have friends in NMP, NDC, NBPM, enough whatever parties, and I think if you bring people together, of course, our system is structured in such a way that one of these parties has to lead. And I believe the adequate party to lead this country, the most progressive of all the parties, the NNP. Of course, we are going through a transition period. People are talking, NNP is going through a transition. It is transitioning from one era to another, from one set of leaders to another. And that is a positive sign once it is done respectfully, once it is done with recognition of everybody's interests and rights and so on, and we transition the party to prepare for this new era, because that is all that is taking place. It may seem turbulent, but when water is boiling and before it turns to steam, there's a lot of turbulence. But do not mistake this turbulence for confusion. It is democracy. Right. Democracy is sometimes a little turbulent, but at the end of the day, when we settle down, I believe the NNP will be seen to be the party that can take Grenada into the future. And that is what I hope to do as a leader of the party if I am elected at the convention.
Your final portfolio in the last administration dwelt a whole lot on agriculture. Your take on the state of agriculture in Grenada today, being with the new administration in power. What's your take on agriculture?
I think that I have not heard much about agriculture. The MNIB was dismantled. I haven't heard about its replacement and what's happening with that. I think agriculture is actually placed more on the back burner. It seems to me that the campaign was that we need to do more for agriculture. Seems to me right now they're saying agriculture is not that important, because I haven't been hearing much happening. I've been speaking to the people in agriculture, the farmers. I spend a whole lot of time on the countryside. Nothing is happening. I think the first thing we need to do is to adequately prepare a plan for agriculture. We did the land use plan, for example. Yes. The land use plan to determine how we use what lands and so on. We did the land bank, which is building bridges to the private sector and the government to get land available for farmers. So I think there's a place for agriculture. There's a place for agriculture both in terms of feeding our population and nutrition to our population, and to link in with the tourism industry. But I do not believe that this government has put agriculture front and center the way they said they were going to do it in the campaign. As I said earlier, there were a lot of campaign promises. But the fact is, capacity is not there. I believe that we can do it, but we need to find ways in which we can adequately develop the programmatic platform for that.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take that break. Folks, when we come back, we'll invite your phone calls. Of course, if you do have a question for the Honorable Peter David, being representing the opposition here this morning, feel free to do so when we do come back after the break. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back.
That's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Wait to see my granddaughter.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Welcome back, MP Honorable Peter Day with us this morning. This segment, I, of course, invite the listening and viewing audience. If you need to call in, ask a question and two, and I beg of you to be brief so we can accommodate as much calls as possible. Let's entertain our very first call.
Well, you know, we rather precise and concise and to the point. Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings to Mr. David. Note that I call you Mr. David here. This was a serious business. Pete, what's happening?
How you do, my brother? I am
hanging on with the times. Listen, while you were speaking there, I picked out about 8 things that I'd like to challenge you on, but nonetheless, I'll reduce them to 2. 1. No, you didn't particularly speak of it, but it's an observation I've made. I have noticed from time to time that in the constituencies, the elected, and I underline that, probably the only democratically done thing in this here country where people are elected, have no say in the activities. Something to be inaugurated is the so-called caretaker, because I don't know what I mean by that really and truly, because from my understanding, caretakers have to have authority, and the people who have the authority are the members of parliament. Do you know where this started? And do you think it's a good thing for the democratic credentials of this here country? I'd like to get your views on that. The second thing is that, and you know this is my baby, you spoke of the constitution reform in this country. Well, I do believe that we need to go beyond that, but to write our own constitution. We know the mistake that we made. We know that this here country is still ruled by a monarch. We know that we live under an imperial order and council of the monarch's most excellent majesty. And we can't continue that way. You made certain entries that tell you that, in fact, you recognize that. We made certain attempts, we were just farces, really, to try to modify things in the interests of the Bar Association and the cronies. Question, do you think it is important and that it has reached the time in this here country that we ask the people as the owners of the business, the owners of the sovereign and constituent power within the country, the people, in a referendum, whether or not we wish to continue to live under an imperial order in council of the king's most excellent majesty, or that we prepare, or rather, to write our own constitution with the serious input of the people through a constituent assembly? I trust that my questions are clear, and I'd love to hear your comments. But go on, I do enjoy listening to you, Pete. Go ahead.
Thank you, my brother Rule. And again, I want to thank you for all the contributions you have made to the development of the country, particularly our international airport. You are we need a statue for you at the airport. You are so integral to it. So thank you. Yes, with respect to the second question, of course, as I said when I spoke, I do believe that we should have constitutional reform, and I do believe that Grenada should become a republic at some point. I do believe we should follow Barbados and the other countries in the region, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Jamaica, and establish our own. I do believe that the time has come for that, but I also believe that our people have come to that position. True and meaningful independence is what we need to get to. We've had formal independence, but we need to have our president and whatever we do have, remove the monarchy that is now in our head of state. So I agree with you, and there are other reforms that should be done simultaneously, but we can speak about that. With respect to the caretaker issue, a critical one, because the caretaker originated when political parties are preparing for elections. They put in place their a candidate and call their candidate a caretaker. Having lost the election, there should be nothing called a caretaker in the parties until the next election. Now, the caretaker has no business in the affairs of the constituency, because remember, once elected, I become the representative of all of the people in the town of St. George. You know, Deacon Mitchell becomes representative of all of the people in St. David. Dr. Mitchell becomes representative of all of the people in St. George's Northwest. There is nothing constitutionally or any other legislation talking about caretaker. It is just a way that the government is using to profile their own candidates long before the next election. And they should not be given even government resources, because the government resources are not to be transmitted through party cronies, which is what a caretaker is. You see, in the town of St. George, for example, I'm the MP. There's nothing called a caretaker, but I see there's a habit developing now of people saying, well, invite the representative for the NMP and the representative for the NMP. That is not at NDC. That is not how it works. There is one representative in the constituency, Southeast St. Andrew, Northeast St. Andrew. The NNP winning candidates are the representatives. In Southwest St. Andrew, the NDC candidate is the winning candidate, is a representative. So, yes, Rolo, you make an important point, and I've raised it in Parliament, that we should desist from that reference. It is not constitutionally wise.
Let's entertain another call. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're welcome.
Hey, good morning to you, brother. How are you doing? Good morning to the Honorable Peter David. Are you hearing me, brother?
Yes, we are. Go right ahead, please, caller. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. And Peter, I want to say hail up to you and thank you for your service to the Canadian people. You have been a good man in my opinion. And I believe in you with your national appeal. That I believe you could lead this new national party. And I believe one of the things I believe is that you have a longer lifespan in the political arena. A while ago, the man asked you, where would you see yourself 10 years from now? I don't think he could ask Dr. Mitchell that same question, because 10 years from now, Dr. Mitchell not even supposed to be in the political arena right now, because he had said several times that he would not be there, he would be leaving and blah, blah, blah. So the NNP people should see it. NNP supporters should see a longer lifespan in your leadership than Dr. Mitchell's leadership. So I don't know, personally, I don't know what, if it's a dictatorial tendency in him to remain there, you understand? I just don't understand the man end game. I can't understand that. Anyhow, but I continue struggling.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you and to my brother on the panel. Good morning to you, Mr. Peter. How are you? Glad to see you. I want to say to you this morning, I am so happy that you are talking about the people from the NMP section and the people in general who are out of a job, because some of them feel that the people from that is out of job, everybody is NMP, but they are not. Because if they were, then they would not have win, because half would have go elsewhere. But I want to give my hat out to the opposition party this morning for helping the people and the youth who are not working, who was in the Imani, that is out of the Imani, because I have a lot of young relatives who is out there now, who has kids, and they were working in the Imani, and it's out of the Imani, leave their homes in the country, come down here and rent a little apartment so that they could look after themselves, and now they are out of that. And they have to go back to the country with their kids, no job and no nothing. That is number one. And number two, I am hurting, Brother Peter. I am hurting for the youth of this nation, especially the men. Because I could remember years ago when there was the Bloods and the Crips and the who. And we were the one who started the journey from the court in Granada to Labyrinth in St. Paul, trying to get everybody together, and they call a truce. And things was running smoothly. The Lions could have come in Granada, Callis could have come in Granada, and Tongue could have come down to play basketball, because we have a basketball court and we love that. No, what is happening again? I am crying, Brother Peter. And I wish to God that somebody some people could get together. I would like to be there because I was there from the start before. It's hurting. It's hurting to see how we're losing our young men. It is hurting. Somebody, somewhere, start something. I am praying that something could happen before it's too late. This is my few words this morning. Have a blessed day, Sister Emlyn and Sister Kate Lewis. I love you guys. And continue keeping on. Continue looking out for the youth of this nation, as we always do. Good morning to you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
You know, I when the caller spoke, I felt it because, every day I go to court. Every day I go to the communities. Every day I go to some village and I meet, even on this crime issue, I meet mothers on one side of the crime and the other mothers on the side of the victims, and it hurts. And I feel the passion in them. I've spent my entire life working with young people, my entire life. I go to the courts, people believe, you go representing criminals. No, I go representing, for the most part, I represent mothers. Mothers like the lady who just called are the people who call me every day. In fact, this morning I received 2 calls early this morning with mothers who have kids who find themselves in trouble. So my advocacy in the court is also an advocacy for young people. Young people coming up to me and say they want to start a business. I had a young man come up to me about 2 weeks ago. He wanted to start a goat business, and he was looking for some money. Of course, I was able to find some funds, give him, and I keep in touch with him, make sure he gets all the tools. The truth is, if all of us were to be involved the way this lady just spoke about willingness to go to the communities, we won't have half of the problems that we have now, because we will all be engaged. Remember, it is not only about young people. There are elderly people suffering. There are mothers suffering. There are people who are working people who can't make ends meet because cost of living. Have you been to the supermarket recently? I wonder how people who work for the wages we receive make it. But for the grace of God, there go us. So the point I'm making is this, the passion the lady just exhibited is a passion I feel. Look, for example, the vendors on Port Highway. I understand the government needs to upgrade the area. I understand we need to beautify the place. I understand all of that. But I also understand that there are mothers and fathers selling there to send their kids to school. I understand that there are people who went to the bank. Some of them I co-signed for to get money to help fix up their place. And now they are finding. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it, but it's how you do it. Always remember, this is a Christian society. We have to look out for each other. Remember, at the end of the day, if a mother can't feed her kids, send her kids to school, we end up with problems. So yes, I really appreciate the comment made by the lady, and that is why I welcome all initiatives.
All right.
All initiatives. I have spent, this is my life's work, and I'll continue doing it, regardless if I'm NMP, NDC, or not in politics at all. That's what I do.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller, welcome, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to Mr. Peter David. Good morning to Mr. Peter David. Before 2022 election, like it have people who call top show programs and say that if you ever get the leadership of the NNP, that they would not be voting for you for the party, that they will be coming out of the party, And the next one again, if the NPP party win the next election, 2027, that the party will continue with the same handout and let all the people them sit down and just gather up like the taxpayers' money again and don't work. That's a thing the NPP people have to get to try to do. Take them out. This handout money and let they get jobs and let them go and get something to do. Have a good morning, Mr. P.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. The NMP people I know are hardworking people. The NMP people I know, they don't receive a handout, they receive a hand up. Meaning, for the grace of God, somebody is giving them a help. I give people help every day of the week, be it money or be it just helping them in court or giving them a ride. I think that's a little bit contemptuous of you to characterize NMP people people are just sitting waiting for a handout. NNP people, as NDC people, are hardworking people. And you see, it's that kind of discussion we need to stop. Let us talk about our people who need. I pay no attention. That is why I win with NNP and I win with NDC. As far as I'm concerned, we live in a society where all of our people have challenges, some of them doing well, some of them not doing so well. And those of us who are doing well have a duty, a Christian duty, to ensure that all of our people are lifted up. And my brother, that is what I work at, and that is what I'll continue working for.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear your contribution, please.
Hey, good morning, Peter David. Happy to see you on the program, comrade. I've been asking for you every week. Anyway, last night you had Anthony Boswin on the Behind the Headline program. And he is a guy who served the NNP with distinction. I mean, as Minister of Education, Minister of Finance. And then I'm listening to you, and you're giving a different take into what Mr. Boswin said. Mr. Boswin talked about a division in the party. He talked about the party is divided. You have people who will vote for Peter. You have people who will vote for MNP. And then he also made statement that the party being hijacked basically by Dr. Mitchell, who is not going to announce if he's going to be taking part in the next election whatsoever. And then he's looking to see if he have the amount of votes, so that he could remain as leader in the party. Mr. David, this morning and you're here and you're giving us that you and Dr. Mitchell have such a nice relationship. I remember on the Kill and Bob program, when you announced about you interested in the leadership, because we know that you guys did not have a constitution, and our posts right now, including the leadership, is up for grabs. All right? And then we heard Dr. Mitchell utterance in rallies, even in the late Winston White funeral. Okay, I would like you to tell us what is actually going on within the NNP party that for 2 years, you guys win 6 seats. All right, the opposition win 9 seats, all right, which ruling right now. All right, and what is holding back the party from having a convention? And I want to know if you guys will have a convention within the next 4 months, or okay, let me say before October. All right, another thing I want you to comment on too. You talk about gun violence. Mr. David, most of the violence we know happening like in the St. George's region. You guys know the criminal. You guys know the people who committing crimes. Guys in gangs, guys who've been in and out of jail. Even in the recent shooting. All right, you guys know the people. Are you not saying, telling us that somebody who know the ins and outs, because you're a guy on the ground, I know you during the revolution, that you guys could not meet the people who in the gang and try to see if you could change their life. Instead of we giving that narrative, because last time I listened to a program with a guy who used to be some cop in the United States. I know his whole history. All right. And working with these people to see if we could do something better for the youth. The programs we had in the revolution, you could help implement it. Right? And the last thing I want to say to you, as a man who served in the revolution, we have a fallen soldier who passed sometime last week. I think he used to be the bodyguard for Unison White man. Subject to correction. All right. So I want to know what you're doing for like the ex-PRAs who's sick and been in the hospital, and need that kind of help, that togetherness. What legislation that you will put when you get into parliament to see if we could help the soldiers who served the revolution, and some of them are badly sick and they need that help. Thank you, and happy to see you on the program today.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Mike.
We are a bit strapped for time. So
yeah, but I need to answer those questions.
Go right ahead, please. We may not be taking any more calls.
I want to thank the caller for his questions. There are a couple of things in what he said. Firstly, I believe what is taking place in the NNP is actually democracy. You see, democracy, my brother, is not a simple, smooth process. You remember in England, the Prime Minister stepped down, the political leader stepped down, and there were 10 people got involved and it whittled down to 4 and whittled down to 3. Democracy is not a smooth thing all the time. Sometimes it's a little bit turbulent. All that needs to happen is that the people involved in the process are respectful for each other, and that we respect the Constitution and the process that as outlined. Me and Dr. Mitchell have a very respectful relationship. As I said, we are not same generations, we don't hang out, we don't go to the clubs, but we have a very respectful relationship. I respect him, I met with him, we speak frankly to each other. He has his views, I have my views, we disagree with each other sometimes, but it's very respectful. The fact is that democracy is sometimes untidy. On the other issue that he raises about God, you were not listening, caller, because I said I have met with the guys on the blocks. I always meet with them. I have seen the parents. I meet with the parents. I try to help them out better course. If you go to any of the blocks in St. George's, they will tell you how much I beseech them to let's get on the right path. The police will tell you that I work with them to recover guns all the time. I've recovered many guns from the police, taking them from the hands of people on the street. And the men on the street will tell you that one of the conditions I make for representing them sometimes is give me the gun, let me bring it to the police, I charge you no money. The point is, I have been doing all of that. With respect to the fallen PRA, my brother, I do contribute all the time. I'm very good with the leaders of that organization, and I'm there helping them. I know I have many good brethren, good comrades from the past who are in difficulties, and I help them. I'm not going to call names, and I don't make public. When I do things for people, I don't do it and take a picture to show anybody I'm doing anything for anybody. I do it because it comes from my heart, and that is I think, the right and proper thing to do. So yes, so on the original question, democracy is not always sometimes very smooth. Look at what's happening in the United States. The Republicans want to kill each other, and then when they choose their leader, everybody gets together and start fighting Mr. Biden. So it's democracy. You can't have you can have argument, you can have discussions, you can have disagreements, but you can do it respectfully, and that is the place me and Dr. Mitchell are, a very respectful relationship.
Honorable MP Peter David, I want to thank you for being on the show this morning. I will sure give you opportunity to any closing comments before we take a wrap. We are a bit over time this morning, but...
No, I just want to thank you for having me here over time. I mean, I could go on for another hour. I wish we had another hour. I'll come back one of these days, but I want to thank all the callers, those who support me, those who don't. Listen, we live in a very vibrant democracy, and that means we should have these discussions. It is the only way we are going to find our way together to building the kind of society I believe we can build. I love Grenada. I believe in the Grenadian people, all of the Grenadian people. I believe in the working people of this country.
All right. MP, I want to thank you once again, and it was a pleasure having you here. So, and I said you'll be back again. I have to have you back again. At least once a month will be appropriate if we could have you back once again. Hey, folks, thanks for being part of today's program. All who contributed some way or the other, those who called in, those who sat at home and listened. Those I know there were lots of folks calling, were not able to get through. Apology for that. I guess you understand me so. So until we have another edition of To The Point, have yourself a great day, folks, and that's where we say goodbye. Have a good one.